Hello, hello.
Hi guys, welcome back.
Welcome to Traveling Teacher Talk.
Um,
That's all right. And today we're going to start the 10 tips for new teachers in foreign countries.
but we're going to do it in a three-part series so we can kind of just talk about each of the tips in a little bit more detail.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, we've worked a lot in China, so we'll reference China and particular things that are there, so that if you're coming to China, then that'll be handy for you.
Yeah.
I'll cut that
But
out.
still, you know, anytime you leave your own country, you do have to have these things. You have to really think about them anyway.
Yeah. Tip number one.
The first one on my list would have to be have a good sense of humor.
Oh, humor is so important. I mean, for us, humor is such a key element of coping and surviving and having a good time.
Yeah.
And whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, when the language of that country is not your first language, you know, even if you speak a little bit of the language, you still muck up.
You're still going to mess up.
So you have to have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And just in, you know, like working with other people of different languages, you really have to, that really has to shine through.
And then working with children.
Oh yeah.
Definitely need a sense of humor.
Yeah.
If you can move your perspective into a more humorous range, then you'll cope a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a sense of humor basically is a perspective, and it's a really good coping mechanism, and it just allows you to live a different life, you know, follow a different path.
But bearing in mind that quite often the Chinese don't get the sense of humor.
Sarcasm doesn't exist in China.
Certainly doesn't. So, they don't get it. But, you know, you can have fun with your colleagues, the colleagues that are, you know, the other foreign teachers. You know, you can have a really good time.
Yeah.
And, you know, even amongst yourself, if you're here with your partner, then, you know, you have to have that sense of humor.
And so humor also in the classroom is awesome. Put in those little jokey bag of tricks that you've got for the kids, and it'll be a winner. So that's tip number one, bring a good sense of humor or develop one.
Absolutely.
Number two, Di?
Number two is mistakes. You are going to make some humongous mistakes.
Oh no! Oh dear! Don't say that.
I made one absolute amazing blunder, which I don't know whether I could actually say on YouTube, but it was in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, you may or may not know, they have 9 tones in their language, whereas China have 4. So their helpers there. I'm not even going to say the word. They have the Hong Kong people.
You can.
But I don't know if it's the right tone though. So.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, the way it's talking about how it sounds. So you need people to understand it.
They have helpers in Hong Kong.
And they're called
Jejes.
Jejes.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it sounds like to us. But there's 9 different tones. So, you know, who knows?
Anyway, as the story goes, I was taking my group of kids down to meet their JJs when they were going home, because in Hong Kong it's different to China. They have half-day sessions. Anyhow, cutting to the chase, I said to this one little kid, "Oh, I can see your JJ," and all of the staff, they just had this like,
and the kids
on their faces, and I thought, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And they're going, "No, Miss Di, no, Miss Di." I was like, "What did I say?" And it's the male genitalia, which we can't.
I can see your penis.
You can't say that on YouTube.
Well, I'll just cut it and make the P.
Yeah.
I can see your P.
Yeah. So I was saying to the kids,
"Hey, I can see your P."
Yeah. So that was a major mistake, but they're the sorts of things you have to get over.
Yeah, but once you've got your sense of humor in place, it's okay. But you're absolutely right. Mistakes are in everything, right? But when you're overseas, the language and the culture and expectations, new job, I mean, there's a whole bag load of new opportunities for you to make boo-boos. So it's going to happen. So just be prepared for it and make it a perception or a point of, oh, okay, I'm learning something new. And okay, a mistake is just an indicator that that's not the right way. What is the wrong way? You know, all these classic things. So
yeah, so, you know, you
do
really need to have your sense of humor in place.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it can shut you down. It can really kind of throw you off.
It could.
But, you just have
like also one day I'd booked some trains to go a couple of 100 kilometers into China, and I booked them on the wrong day.
Yeah.
So
we had a flight to catch as well at that other location. So
so it all worked out in the end. But and they're great growth experiences. Great growth experiences. Okay, what's tip number 3?
Tip number 3, and the final one for today, is your comfort zone.
Ooh, it's going to grow.
Taking you out of your home country and your familiar surroundings and throwing you into an environment that is so totally different to what you're used to.
Yeah.
I think now we're used to it, don't you think? We're kind of more used to it.
We've assimilated. So we've expanded our comfort zone to include a lot of things. Spitting and
picking noses.
And rubbish on the table, spitting on the table. So many different little cultural habits. There's those kind of things. And then there's expectations. Your comfort zones with Chinese do a lot of drinking, workplace drinking, not in the workplace, but afterwards, like in business meetings. And so you will expand your comfort zone to include expected cultural behaviors, let's say. So if you're not, Di said smoking, if you're not used to being in a smoking environment, you will be here, particularly in China.
But also in the business meetings or, in a function, it's kind of, men often offer you a cigarette to another man, not necessarily to a woman. And so, there's sorts of things that if you're really an anti-smoker, you're going to really have to get over. The other thing I think,
and just appreciate that it's part of the culture. You don't have to be hassled about it or stressed or say, "What, you're offering me a cigarette? What, you want me to stick to die?" Stupid stuff like that. But it's just you can accept the cigarette. You don't have to smoke it there and then, but it's just accepting of that small gift. But you'll come to appreciate and understand those things. And that's really expanding your comfort zone.
True. The other things with your comfort zone is that you are expected to be a performer.
Oh, yeah.
so even if you've got the crappiest singing voice, don't worry about it. They don't really mind.
People here love karaoke, especially in China, but in Asia, they love karaoke. And singing, and people practice karaoke. They're walking in the street. You see delivery guys on their bikes, or you hear them singing as well. So don't be embarrassed. And if you're a singer and if you like to sing or practice and you feel like you've been restricted back at home, then you're going to love it.
Yeah, it's not only that, but as a kindergarten teacher, or maybe even primary, but kindergarten especially, they have performances where you do have to get up on stage and perform.
There is that expectation. Like Students' Day, Teachers' Day, and there's performance, Children's Day, and might be a big performance at the end of the year or a few different graduation performances that you need to do. And so, we really had to grow through that. We hadn't, Di had danced a lot as a child, but I had not. And not sung, not danced. I'd performed.
I'd done physical culture, so it was a bit easier for me. But I think too, one time, I think it was one of our first jobs, they just said to me, "Oh, we're going down to the footpath or the sidewalk, and we're taking the kids down." I thought, "Oh, this is unusual," but okay. So you just go with it. Your sense of humor. You're going to make a mistake probably, and this is just a comfort zone. So we trailed these 20 children down to the footpath. And they handed me a microphone, and there was this massive, big kind of like boom box, and we were literally on the footpath. And I actually had laryngitis at the time, but they said, "Don't worry, teacher Di, just sing." I was like, "Really?"
That was the classic.
So I was singing with this like really croaky, sometimes hitting the notes, sometimes not. But people were just cheering. They were going by, and because I was the only foreigner in that city, Yingde, at the time. Everyone
one in a million.
Everyone kind of knew me, and I was up on a billboard, so I was kind of like the pop star at the moment. And so cars were going by, and they were bimping, and that was really out of my comfort zone because I felt inadequate with not being able to sing. But I was fine singing to kids; that doesn't bother me. But out on the street, and then when you factor in you don't have a voice.
But it doesn't matter the quality of your performance. It's just that you are doing it. That the guys that you hear singing out on the street or in the park or in the garden, some of the voices there are questionable. But and same as with your performance, it's you being involved. It's the intensity and the willingness and your happiness that comes out when you're involved.
And the joy that the kids find when you're up on stage.
They love
that's
it.
just amazing. And it doesn't matter that your performance, you think it's crappy, they think it's wonderful.
They think it's great. So be prepared to be, well, that's one of our other tips, isn't it? We'll tell that one later. But
so just recapping on the 3 for today, for part 1, don't forget to bring your sense of humor. That's an absolute must.
You will make mistakes, but don't worry about it. Just grow.
Yeah. And you will need to step out of that comfort zone and step out of it with such joy and glee, because it really does, it changes you as a person.
Yeah, it does. Changes you as a person. Makes you a much more accomplished and more perceptive and broader scope of capabilities and skills.
And you do actually end up enjoying being that kind of out of your comfort zone. And in another country, it always makes you feel, I don't know. It always made me feel, gosh, I couldn't do this at home.
Oh, no.
I really couldn't.
I wouldn't be doing this in Australia. So that's great.
But here it's good.
Okay, well, enjoy. Hope they help.
Like, share, subscribe. Give us some of your pointers of what you think is your top 3. And we'll see you in part 2.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you in the next one.